that we've talked about the main pillar of establishing value, I think it's important to talk about a pillar of increasing value. That is so important, okay? So let's talk about that, at least give you some of the basics. So we're talking non-commercial, 4 units and under. We know that that has a different valuation system than 5 units and over. 4 units and under, you're going to be changing appearance or characteristics, painting, cleaning up the yard, adding square footage, remodeling kitchens and bathrooms, stuff like that. I really think that a lot of the value increase that you can do from forced appreciation with 4 units and under have to do with these type of things right here. So if you're looking at a duplex or 4-unit building and you're wondering what type of play you have on the property, you're probably going to look at aesthetics for that, okay? 5 units and over, a little bit different story. In 5 units and over, we're going to be talking about how we increase the net operating income. Do you see the switch that we made there? It's a giant switch. Aesthetics to income or financial performance. And when I say aesthetics, that's really, I'm kind of dumbing it down a little bit. With the aesthetics, what we're trying to do is change what that subject property is being compared to. That's why we paint it, add square footage, landscaping, all that stuff. With income performance, we do this very thing by way of 2 ways and only 2 ways. There's only 2 ways you can drive net operating income. The first way is by raising the income. The second way is by lowering the expenses. Raising the income or lowering the expenses. So when I'm deciding what my play is going to be on a property, I'm going to either come up with ways in which I'm going to drive income or come up with ways in which I'm going to decrease expenses. Everybody have that so far? Okay. So this is a building that Heather and I own. Actually, we just replaced this whole balcony here, and we did some other work here. But this building was interesting because if you look, well, you can't really see it, but there's a stairway down to a basement that's got a laundry facility there. And that's where they house something called water meters. And I'm going to explain that in a second. I also want to talk about rents here. So remember these two topics, increase rents, master meter to sub-meter, based on what you know right now. Okay? So I'm going to take this off the screen and go to the math here. By the way, that is a 10-unit building. There are 5 units on top, 5 units on the bottom. Okay? We are in a trend with our multifamily units across a lot of the metros. I can't think of one they're not raising rents due to increased demand, low supply. And it's like that here for this building as well. Yes, it's on the south side of Chicago. We are raising rents. So, if rents here are $800 and we're raising rents at 5%, I want you to start to understand the increasing of value type of thing. This goes by what I was talking about earlier this morning when I started off and I was talking about velocity of money. It doesn't compare here, multifamily, to the single family house side of the world. Check this out. So we've got 8 units. I'm sorry. Can't use that piece of paper now. Oh, some of the people, but you recycle, don't you? Yes, I do. 10 units, and each unit, let's say, is getting $800 in rent. So that would mean that there's $8,000 coming in per month. Because the demand is high, we have done our market rent survey, and we know that we're raising rents at 5%. So 5% is $40. 5% times 800, $40. So now their rent is going to be $840 for the next year. So if we go $40 times 10, that equals $400 for the month. And if we times that by 12, we get $4,800. Everybody see how we got to this? Here's where the interesting thing comes about. Does somebody have a calculator up here? They can be my calculating engineer. Can you do that? You're sure you're good on that thing? We've already had a little test. Okay. So here's where it becomes interesting. Do you remember the formula without looking down at your notes? What's the formula for value? NOI divided by market cap rate. Yes, I've got an army of multifamily professionals here. I love it. Yes, NOI divided by market cap rate. So if we've increased the NOI here on this property by $4,800, that formula should tell us an increased NOI divided by market cap rate will tell us how much we've increased the value by. So if we take $4,800 and we divide that by the market cap rate, let's just use 7.5, 0.075. We've driven the value by raising our rents 5% by, that would be where the calculating engineer presses the buttons. $64,000. By raising the rents 5% on this building, on this 10-unit building, we raised the value by $64,000. Everybody see that? This is where hopefully your life is going to change forever. To raise value by $64,000 on a single-family house, you have to work a lot harder than this. You see this? Okay? Now, when you look at that building, and I'll go back to the picture here in a moment. When I look at a building, and I'm discovering my play, by the way, this is one of them. So on that building, I said, I'm raising rents there 5%. 5%. $64,000. That's play number one. Play number two, same building. You walk down the stairway. As a matter of fact, in our car, before we left, I don't know why we did it, but I checked we have washers and dryers down there, and I checked the coin boxes in those, and I happened to, take the coins with me, and we were coming here, and I put them in the back, on the back seat floor of the car, and when Steph, and Heather and I were going to dinner, Steve took those bad boys and put them in his pocket. It's my quarter money. I love quarters. I love it. Anyway, we'll talk more about that in a moment. But yeah, sofa a lot as well. But if you walk down those stairs, you'll also see the water meter there. One of the most popular plays today in multifamily housing in ways that you can drive down expenses is to sub-meter the building for water. What does this mean? Well, for that 10-unit building, I've got one water meter. So you go in, and as an owner, I'm paying the water bill for all of those tenants. Let's say that the water bill is about $40 a month per unit. I'm paying that water bill, 40 times 10, $400. Almost the same math as before, exactly the same math. $400 times 12, that's $4,800 a year. That's on my expenses. When I go in to sub-meter it, meaning I'm going to attach a water meter to every single unit, there's going to be a cost for that. In business, that's called a cost versus benefit analysis. So let's go through that real quickly here. For the 10 units, on average, the water bill is about $40 a month. So for all 10 units, that's my expenses. $400 times 12, that's $4,800 a year, and that's an expense to me. Now, When I go in and submeter this, I'm going to have to attach a meter for each individual unit down there. And there's a little bit of construction work that needs to go on, not much. But on average, it's going to cost me about $250 per unit to submeter. On average, that's what the cost is. I've done it several times. So I'm going to do 10 times 250 equals $2,500. Now, that's my capital expenditure, by the way. So what I'm going to do is to compare these in my cost versus benefit analysis. I'm going to compare the $2,500 capital expense to the $4,800 I'm saving on my expenses per year. Just a general question. Is this a good deal? Yeah. Without a doubt. Because I'm going to spend $2,500 to get rid of $4,800. Not only do I get rid of that, but I put $4,800 more in my pocket per year. I don't know about you guys, but in corporate America and corporate Canada, I don't think you can create your own situation where you give yourself a raise when you want to, right? Pretty cool there. So I do this cost versus benefit analysis. I eliminate that $4,800 from my expense side. I've increased my NOI by that amount. I go through the same math. And I get another $6,400 or $64,000. So when I'm trying to discover a play on a property, I am going to go through and say, I'm going to do this, A, raise rents, B, submeter the building for water, C, something else. I'm going to get the question, do I have to wait until their leases are up to be able to submeter? You should have some language in your lease that says something like, owner has the right to submeter utilities on building, including water. If they do so, it's the tenant's responsibility to pay their portion of the water bill or their water bill, something like that. Or you're going to have to wait till the lease expires and then charge them that water bill. The other thing that I wanted to mention fairly quickly is this is all well and good, but you also have to kind of discover what the tenant can tolerate financially. If you start adding all these costs on there and it gets to the point where the tenant can't afford that, obviously that's another challenge that you have to go through. This is some of the math and studying you have to do when you're developing your plays. Okay? Question?
So being that your cap rate is NOI over sales price, doesn't the cap rate change every time you have made an improvement or change?
The cap rate of that deal did. So yeah, you're right. The cap rate of the deal actually changes. In other words, you buy it at a certain NOI at a certain price. As you increase that NOI over time, theoretically, that building should become less expensive to you because of that. So yes, you were absolutely correct. That cap rate, as far as what your deal was, should actually increase. Now, on the open market, you're hoping that that cap rate becomes compressed, actually goes down, because for each dollar you raise, that becomes even more expensive. Okay? Did you have a question? I answered it. Okay. This is where the power lies in velocity of income. Now, we just got done submetering 67 units and have changed the NOI dramatically. I would recommend, again, at least having 3 plays on a property. These are 2 that you could do, okay? Oops. There are more, but these are 2 that should give you a good idea. Let me go to...
If you got a choice of which one to do first,
I'm probably going to raise rents, is probably what I'm going to do first. If I had a choice of what to do first, what would I do? Of those 2, I would raise rents. So here's some other things. You might be able to add vending, laundry. I don't know if payphones are the thing anymore, but cellular, cable, internet revenue sharing. This is a building that I own that you can't see it because of this tree, but it's got an 18-inch tower on the building. And that tower provides broadband internet service for the whole neighborhood. So when somebody signs up for that service and kind of goes through that tower, I think I actually get like $1.73 per month per person using that in that neighborhood. So if there's 100 times $1.73, that's 173 bucks a month, times 12, you kind of see my method of madness there, right? Okay, every little bit helps. Consolidate apartments. So one way to save on expenses is to have the guy that's cutting the grass here, cut the grass here. By the way, this is Mrs. Kruger's duplex that I bought, right here. So you'd walk in the front door here, bushes were a little high there. You go upstairs to Mrs. Kruger on the top, and then downstairs, that's where Gary lived.
That's
anyway,
your first place.
First place, right there. First place I ever bought. Anyway, you want to reminisce more? Okay. You're getting verklempt? Who uses those words? Okay, here's another one. And I see this a lot when I'm looking for apartment buildings. Convert excess storage space into rentable living units. Now, this is where you got to kind of act a little bit differently here. I'll walk through a large apartment complex and I'll notice that they usually use like, one or two of them for storage. The maintenance guy will. He'll use them for empty excess refrigerators, stoves, washers and dryers, kind of sets up shop there. And that always makes me kind of smile with inside. And I'll tell you why. Let's say we're looking at a 20-unit building. They're using one for storage. It's full of washers, full of stoves. And I'll walk by, I'll say, yeah, I see you're using one of the units for storage. Yeah, it's nice because everything kind of gets in one area. The maintenance guy can kind of work there, so it's a nice thing for us. Oh, isn't that interesting? Now usually the hyperventilation starts on my side. I keep cool, I keep calm. They just don't know. They don't know this stuff. So I'm saying, isn't that interesting? Now here's what's going on in my mind. I wouldn't invite you here in my mind a lot, but you must come now. So in my mind I'm thinking, wow, they're using that for storage. $800 a month times 12 is 9,600 bucks. Divided by 0.075, assuming that's the cap rate, is going to be how much? Probably 90-some thousand. 128,000? Okay, so I'm like 128,000. Do you know what kind of, in Steve Martell's words, freaking storage unit you can build for $128,000? Do you realize that? By taking one unit and using it for storage and not getting any rent in, you completely lower your NOI for that. Now, some complexes use one of the units for a management office. You'll see that a lot too. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong. In some cases, it's probably the right thing to do. But I think you need to allocate that in your costs, working with your accountant, how to accurately track that. Do we want to make it so that our NOI isn't depleted because of that, so we show good financial records? I just want you to keep that in mind. So when I see a unit being used for storage, and sometimes it's like 2 or 3 of them, and I just think, man, they just don't know. You want to talk about taking candy from a baby. Give me that. You know what I mean? It really, I see this stuff all over the place. And they'll say, or I'll see this a lot too. I'll see a market in which the rental demand or occupancy rate is 95% or higher. And the rents for that particular building are like $150 below market value. That is a tremendous opportunity. I mean, 10 units, 20 units, 50 units, 100. You see it all the time. And I'm telling you, it's like, I say taking candy like from a baby. It is. It really is. And it's like not only taking candy, but it's like kicking them afterwards. And you walking off. It really is. When you're out looking for opportunities, notice that. For some people, that raises a red flag. I'm telling you, that's an opportunity. Oh, I'd never buy that building. The rents are $150 below market. I would never do that. You're passing up quite a bit of money. Now again, you have to kind of make that business decision. Do you go in and raise rents by $150 on all those tenants? I think you need a strategy with that. Very much like I had a strategy with Gary the second day when I told the story of the duplex. So I would recommend putting that together, assessing what the rental demand is. Anytime rental demand in a marketplace is over 95%, chances are you can drive rent significantly without missing occupancy. So but you've got to work those numbers. You have a question.
Based on what you're saying, it looks like rental value is not as regulated as it is in Canada. Because you're saying
Rental value is not as regulated. Rental value is not regulated at all. There's no rent control with the exception of a little bit in New York, a little bit in California. Other than that, there's no regulation on it.
So the 5%,
as a new owner, you can come in.
As a new owner, you can come in and raise rent 7%, 5%, 1%, whatever you want. It's up to the market. The market will, so if you raise it 15% and the market says that's too high, that's going to probably be reflective in your occupancy rate.
So what about the leases? If you've got some tenants that are still on 6-8 months lease, can you break the lease, demand higher rent?
You know what? You go in, you take their candy, and you kick them. If they have a lease in place, you have to honor their lease. But you could still kick them. I'm just kidding. Okay? If they have a lease, you have to honor that. And that, by the way, gives you time and room to plan. Hey, I'm going to start raising rents. And usually when I raise rents, by the way, or I do a sub-metering, I give it what I call the Trojan horse effect. You know what that is? Everybody know the story of the Trojan horse? Okay. So what I will do is I will package that rent increase, I will package that sub-metering into this crazy new cool thing called environmentally friendly. We're going green here because studies have shown that when tenants pay their own water bill, water consumption goes down by 30 to 40%. That's a true fact. So we wrap this thing in a green scenario. Behind the curtain is, we're going to make a shitload of money. Curtain comes back, we are earth friendly. You see what I'm saying? Curtain, shitload of money. Curtain, we love to save the planet. Yes. Questions, another question. Yeah, Wayne.
Are we going to have that 7.5-minute break?
I seem to have gotten carried away with my stories. I apologize to you. Yes, let's do that right now. And we will be back at 2:30. 2:30. Wait a minute. Just to let you know, 2:30 is a Chinese dentist's favorite time of the day. Why? Oh, 2:30. 2:30. Just a joke. Just want to throw that out to you. Okay.